Wow Bunch, what is up? Today is day 78 of your daily vlog. My friends, today we are talking all about people who have cracked the lottery code. Okay, so let me take this back a few years, because the first I'd ever heard of someone cracking the lottery code or gaming the lottery system was several years ago, back when my old man was still alive. And what you have to understand is my father played the lottery pretty regularly ever since I could remember. Casual player. But usually every week he'd pitch in $1 or two and play the lottery. That was his thing. You could call it a hobby. But in later years, I noticed my dad pulled me aside a couple times, and he started talking to me about how it's not random. Like the pick 3 and the pick 4 are not random. There's a pattern to it. And at the time I was like, you sure, Pop? Seems kind of random to me. I mean, how's there a pattern to it? They just pull balls up, and it seems random to me. I don't know. And he's like, I don't know, son, but it's not random. And he had been keeping track in a journal all the numbers that were played, all the numbers that were that came up. And he said there's a pattern to it. Sometimes it's years, sometimes it's months, but there's a pattern to it. And my father was winning more and more regularly at those pick 3 and pick 4 events, but he never quite cracked the code, right? He could never quite crack the pattern. Now, I do want you to understand, my father had a degree in civil engineering, and he was really good at math, okay? If any of you know anything about engineering, you have to be quite good at math. He was a construction worker by trade, but he went back to school, got his degree in civil engineering, went back to work for the same company he had been working for before, just as a supervisor. Very smart man, okay? So that was my first experience with someone who I believed, someone who I actually held a lot of stock in their opinion, telling me they felt like it wasn't quite random with the lottery, right? The second thing, my second experience with the lottery was several years later. I was working at a department store as their systems manager. I was in charge of all their computer systems, all their cash register systems. I was in charge of making sure everything was running smoothly in the store that was related to computers, electronics, IT type stuff. I was down at the service desk talking to the ladies who work at the service desk one day, fixing their computer, and they were talking about, they were telling me about these two guys that kept on coming in, and these two guys that kept on coming in, they said they had a system to win the pick 3 and the pick 4 all the time. But they wouldn't tell them what the system was. They wouldn't tell anybody what the system was. They were very guarded. But these ladies tended to believe them because they kept on coming in quite frequently, playing the pick 3 and the pick 4, and they were winning. They were winning quite frequently. So they believed them that they actually had a system to beat the pick 3 and the pick 4, but they wouldn't tell them what it was. They would not reveal their secret of how they cracked the pick 3 and pick 4. That was my second occurrence. All right. Now my third occurrence was when a friend of mine came to live with me. He fell in hard times. His girlfriend kicked him out, and he came to crash at my place. My wife had recently just left. My ex-wife had recently just left. So I was living by myself. He had nowhere to go. I invited him to come be my roommate. So we were living in this empty house together for a little while, and we had lots of late night bonfires where we just shot the crap for hours. And he revealed to me one of those nights that the lottery, the Mega Millions, the big lottery was actually not random. It was actually like codes and stuff, and like they inserted the launch codes for like the nuclear launching codes and stuff into the Mega Millions, into the lottery thing, and it was all like government codes, and they all meant something. I thought he was crazy when he told me that, and to this day, I have no idea if he was just making that up, but he seemed pretty serious to me when he said it, so I don't know. But those are the 3 instances I've had personally with people telling me that the lottery type stuff was not random, and it was in fact a pattern to it, and there was a system to it. 3 instances where I didn't feel like the people were crazy, and I could probably believe what they were saying, even though what they were saying sounded kind of crazy to me. There was reason for me to believe what they were saying. So those are 3 stories that happened to me. Now I want to give you 3 other stories here of people who have actually cracked the lottery code and lived to tell about it. Mohan Shrivastava, okay, a geological statistician living in Toronto, was working in his office in June 2003, waiting for some files to download onto his computer when he discovered a couple of old lottery tickets buried under some paper on his desk. The tickets were cheap scratchers, a gag gift from his squash partner, and Shrivastava found himself wondering if any of them were winners. He fished a coin out of a drawer and began scratching off the latex coating. The first was a loser, and I felt pretty smug, Shrivastava said. I thought, this is exactly why I never play these dumb games. The second ticket was a tic-tac-toe game. Its design was straightforward. On the right were 8 tic-tac-toe boards, dense with different numbers. On the left was a box headlined, Your Numbers, covered with a scratchable latex coating. The goal was to scrape off the latex and compare the numbers under it to the digits on the board. If 3 of your numbers appeared on a board in a straight line, you'd won. Shrivastava matched up each of his numbers with the digits on the board, and much to his surprise, the ticket had a tic-tac-toe. Shrivastava had won $3. This is the smallest amount you can win, but I can't tell you how excited it made me, he says. I felt like the king of the world. Delighted, he decided to take a lunchtime walk to the gas station to cash in his ticket. On my way, I started looking at the tic-tac-toe game, and I began to wonder how they make these things, Shrivastava said. The tickets are clearly mass-produced, which means there must be some computer program that lays down the numbers. Of course, it would be really nice if the computer could just spit out random digits, but that's not possible. Since the Lottery Corporation needs to control the number of winning tickets, the games cannot be truly random. Instead, it has to generate the illusion of randomness while actually being carefully determined. Shrivastava speaks quietly with a slight stammer. He has a neatly trimmed beard and a messy office. When he talks about a subject he's interested in, and he's interested in many things from military encryption to freshwater fossils, his words start to run into each other. As a trained statistician with degrees from MIT and Stanford University, Shrivastava was intrigued by the technical problem posed by the lottery ticket. In fact, it reminded him a lot of his day job, which involves consulting for mining and oil companies. A typical assignment for Shrivastava goes like this. A mining company has multiple samples from a potential gold mine. Each sample gives a different estimate of the amount of minerals underground. My job is to make sense from those results, he says. The numbers might seem random, as if the gold has just been scattered, but they're actually not random at all. There are fundamental geological forces that created those numbers. If I know the forces, I can decipher the samples. I can figure out how much gold is underground. Shrivastava realized that the same logic could be applied to the lottery. The apparent randomness of the scratch ticket was just a facade, mathematical lie. And this meant that the lottery system might actually be solvable, just like those mining samples. At the time, I had no intention of cracking the tickets, he said. He was just curious about the algorithm that produced the numbers. Walking back from the gas station with the chips and coffee he bought with his winnings, he turned the problem over in his mind. By the time he reached the office, he He was confident that he knew how the software might work, how it could precisely control the number of winners while still appearing random. It wasn't that hard, Srivastava said. I do the same kind of math all day long. That afternoon, he went back to work. The thrill of winning had worn off. He forgot about his lunchtime adventure, but then, as he walked by the gas station later that evening, something strange happened. I swear, I'm not the kind of guy who hears voices, Srivastava says, but that night, as I passed the station, I heard a little voice coming from the back of my head. I'll never forget what it said. If you do it that way, if you use that algorithm, there will be a flaw. The game will be flawed. You will be able to crack the ticket. You will be able to plunder the lottery. Srivastava had been hooked by a different sort of lure, that spooky voice whispering him about a flaw in the game. At first, he tried to brush it aside. Like everyone else, I assumed the lottery was unbreakable, he says. There's no way there could be a flaw. There's no way I just happened to discover the flaw on my walk home. And yet his inner voice refused to pipe down. I remember telling myself that the Ontario lottery is a multi-billion-dollar-a-year business, he says. They must know what they're doing, right? That night, however, he realized that the voice was right. The tic-tac-toe lottery was seriously flawed. It took a few hours of studying his tickets and some statistical sleuthing, but he discovered a defect in the game. The visible numbers turned out to reveal essential information about the digits hidden under the latex code. Nothing needed to be scratched off. The ticket could be cracked if you knew the secret code. The trick itself is ridiculously simple. Srivastava would later teach it to his 8-year-old daughter. Each ticket contained 8 tic-tac-toe boards. Each space on those boards, 72 in all, contained an exposed number from 1 to 39. As a result, some of these numbers were repeated multiple times. Perhaps the number 17 was repeated 3 times, and the number 38 was repeated twice. And a few numbers appeared only once on the entire card. Srivastava's startling insight was that he could separate the winning tickets from the losing tickets by looking at the number of times each of the digits occurred on the tic-tac-toe board. In other words, he didn't look at the tickets as a sequence of 72 random digits. Instead, he categorized each number according to its frequency, counting how many times a given number showed up on a given ticket. The numbers themselves couldn't have been more meaningless, he said, but whether or not they were repeated told me nearly everything I needed to know. Srivastava was looking for singletons, numbers that appeared only a single time on the visible tic-tac-toe boards. He realized that the singletons were almost always repeated under the latex coding. If 3 singletons appeared in a row on one of the 8 boards, that ticket was probably a winner. The next day, on his way into work, he stopped at the gas station and bought a few more tickets. Sure enough, all these tickets contained the telltale pattern. The day after that, he picked up even more tickets from different stores. These were also breakable. After analyzing his results, Srivastava realized that the singleton trick worked about 90% of the time, allowing him to pick the winning tickets before they were scratched. His next thought was utterly predictable. I remember thinking, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to plunder the lottery, he says. However, these grandiose dreams soon gave way to a more practical concern. Once I worked out how much money I could make if this was my full-time job, I got a lot less excited, Srivastava says. I'd have to travel from store to store and spend 45 seconds cracking each card. I estimated that I could expect to make about $600 a day. That's not bad, but to be honest, I make more as a consultant, and I find consulting to be a lot more interesting than scratching lottery tickets. Interesting. Now, I happen to know that Srivastava actually, after he decided he wasn't going to crack the lottery because he couldn't make enough money doing it, he actually went to the Ontario Lottery Commission and tried to tell them about it. They completely ignored him, thinking he was a crackpot. So what he did was he created a letter. He went and created a package with about 30 of the tic-tac-toe tickets in there, and he predicted which ones were winners, which ones weren't winners, divided them into piles, sent it to the commission, and he got a call in like 2 hours. They were very interested after that. Funny. All right, so the second story, Richard the Lotto Dominator Lustig. All right. Did you know that Richard Lustig won 7 lottery grand prizes? Okay, a $10,000 one from a scratch-off ticket, $13,693.03 in Florida Fantasy 5, $3,594.66, and a scratch-off ticket, $4,966 from a scratch-off ticket, $842,000, $842,152.91 from Florida Mega Money, $73,658.06 from Florida Fantasy 5, $98,992.92 from Florida Fantasy 5. Lustig has been playing the lottery game for almost 25 years. He claims to play lotto every day. He shared that in the first few years he was not winning that much, so he decided to come up with a method which he claims to have helped him win 7 grand prizes, including the $98,000 jackpot which he won 2 years ago. He authored Learn How to Increase Your Chances of Winning the Lottery in his book. He shared tips on how to win the lottery. It took Richard 20 years to develop a winning strategy that increases his chances of winning the lottery. He says his journey was not an easy one. In fact, he lost many times, has failed several times. It took him hours, days, and months to figure out the correct strategy. He did his homework in trying to find how to win the lottery. Richard pointed out that he did not win 7 grand prizes in the lottery by just simple luck. He shared that you need to do your homework. You need to research whether your numbers are a good set of numbers to win the lottery. Remember, every number has an equal chance of winning. Don't go for quick pick numbers. Your chance of winning may not be high if the machines pick the numbers for you. The odds may not be in your favor. Stick to your numbers. Even if you lose a couple times, stick to the numbers you pick. Who knows, it may appear next time. Don't follow lotto fever. Some people spend too much when the jackpot price is too high or when it reaches around $300 million or so. Since more people knew that the jackpot price is higher, people will all swarm the lottery outlet to buy tickets. Of course, with too many people buying the ticket, your chance of winning may be too little. Okay, let me say this about Richard Lustig. Okay, his most current recent book that he put out is Lotto Dominator. Okay, it's called The Lotto Dominator. This is a $97 book, inside of which he promises to teach you his formula for winning the lottery. Now, Richard has won the lottery 7 times, but I have to tell you, it all feels a little bit scammy. It has kind of a scammy vibe to it, a scammy feel to it. The Lotto Dominator book is like $97, kind of expensive for a PDF if you ask me. This is, in case you're wondering, this is a 200-page book. Lotto Dominator by Richard Lustig. It's a 200-page book. You might wonder how I know that. No, I didn't spend $97 to buy Richard's book. I went to Google and I typed in Lotto Dominator book PDF, and it was like the third listing. It was the third, like the second or the third search result. I clicked on it and it pulled up the PDF. So Richard's $97 PDF pulls up in a Google search when I type in Lotto Dominator book PDF. Just so you know, don't go spend your $97 because this guy is not even protecting his $97 book from a Google search. Anyways, I skimmed the book. I didn't really get into it. I might go back and read it if I have time. If I do, I'll do a video about it, reviewing it for you guys. I didn't see anything in that book worth $97. I mean, that's just me right now. I don't know. I mean, there's an upsell, like I said, to his auto lotto processor that's supposed to pick numbers for you. To me, it seemed like a whole lot of, you got to play the lotto consistently. You got to play the same numbers. You just keep on playing the lottery. When you win, reinvest your winnings. I don't know. I didn't get any kind of like sense of advantage from that. I don't know. Anyways, that's Richard Lustig. He's definitely got, he might have won 7 times, but he's definitely capitalizing it, selling books about it, teaching people his methods. I don't know if they work or not. I'd have to read the book and really let you know, but I just gave you how to get the book for free, so, I don't know. Someone might want to send him an email and tell him to protect his book. A humble math genius and his wife become millionaires after he hacked the lottery and reaped the benefits for years. In 2003, retired Michigan shop owner Gary Selby, who has a bachelor's degree and an MBA in mathematics, noticed a flaw in New State's new lottery game. Family man Gary, then age 64, realized in about 4 minutes that the new Windfall's roll-down gimmick actually gave favorable odds to the player, prompting him to bulk buy thousands of tickets at a time. Like other lotto games, if no player guessed the 6 numbers required for the jackpot, the windfall would roll over to the next week. However, in this particular game, if the rollover exceeded more than $5 million, then the jackpot would roll down to every single tier of winners, including those who correctly chose 2, 3, 4, or 5 numbers. Gary, who is a lifelong puzzle solver, realized that as long as no one guessed the 6 numbers on the roll-down week, then a dollar ticket was statistically worth more than $1. He told the Huffington Post, "I just multiplied it out, and then I said, hell, you got a positive return here." After losing $50 on his first try, the seasoned mathematician persevered, knowing that it was simply bad luck. On his next 2 attempts, he won $6,300 from $3,600 worth of tickets and $15,700 from $8,000 worth of tickets. He soon told his wife, Marge, and they, along with their kids and close friends, started up a betting group, GS Investment Strategies, LLC, in the small town in Evar, Michigan. The group brought hundreds of thousands of tickets. They bought hundreds of thousands of tickets every time there was a roll-down week and earned between $7.5 million and $8 million every single week. After Michigan shut down the windfall game unexpectedly, Jerry and GS Investment Strategies LLC began playing Massachusetts' windfall game, despite the state being 700 miles away. But after 6 years of playing and winning, Massachusetts lottery officials cracked down on group betting after it emerged that Jerry's firm and 2 other betting groups, including one led by an MIT computer genius, were dominating the state's windfall game, reports Boston.com. Prudent Jerry told Business Insiders that he invested his winnings wisely, saying, 2 of my grandkids graduated debt-free from the University of Michigan. He also bought gold and silver coins in an anticipation of economic downturns, adding, I think devaluation of the dollar is a certainty. So 2 of the guys I talked about were really good with puzzles, like exceptionally good. One had a degree from MIT and Stanford. The other had a bachelor's degree and an MBA in mathematics. So the 2 guys that we see that legit cracked the system, they were very smart guys. They probably had exceptional brains. They could see puzzles from a different way than most normal people can. The other guy seemed a little bit fishy, a little bit scammy, but you can't argue with the fact that he won 7 times. That's not really luck. You win once, that's luck. You win twice, okay, that's luck. Maybe even 3 times, that's luck. But 7 times? You win 7 times? That's not quite luck. So you can't really ignore his method. It might be worth it to check out his book. All I'm saying is proceed with caution. It feels a little scammy. So anyways, this has been kind of a long one, but I think it's really interesting, these stories about people cracking the lottery. It's definitely possible based on my personal experience, things that people have told me, and then based on some of the research I did tonight for this actual vlog. I'm convinced there are patterns to these lottery games, and it just takes a really, really smart puzzle-solving mind to actually find them. Maybe that's you. If so, drop me a comment. Let me know. Do you have any stories about people cracking these random lottery games? Do you know anybody who was convinced it was not a random event, that there was an actual pattern to it? If so, let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear about it. Guys, be sure to subscribe to this channel. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a Chromebook or an iPod. It's winner's choice. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe. Peace, everybody.